next comedian is one of my great friends. She's so funny and she has a great story for you guys tonight. Give it up for Molly Sanchez.
All right. I'm praying nobody gets killed in the vicinity so that dog will shut the fuck up. Please. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of background for this story, alright? So my brother, who is 3 years younger than I am, when my brother turned 15, on his 15th birthday, my father walked into his room, made direct eye contact with him, and then silently put a box of condoms on his desk, and then just like moonwalked out of the room. When I turned 15, my parents put their money together and they bought me a ticket to the midnight release of Goblet of Fire so that I would have something to do when I got back from my Girl Scout trip. That is true. That is so true. So that's the kind of life that I lived in high school. I was like never super popular, I was really nerdy, but I will say, despite being the dorky, flat-chested freak that I was, I took not one, but 2 dates to prom. Yeah. I'm going to tell you that story. So I took my 2 best friends to prom, and I'm a little worried that they might not like me telling this story, so I want to use like code names for them just in case they find out. So I took my 2 best friends, Hermione and Voldemort, to prom. Now Hermione was like really, really smart. She was a beautiful vegetarian, and together we drafted a multi-chaptered / fanfiction dedicated to our 2 male history teachers and their adventures through time. Also, not a joke. None of this has been heightened to make you laugh. This is my real sad life. Anyway, shout out to Mr. Newman and Mr. Arzadi. May you travel time in peace. So we wrote that together. That was Hermione and my bond. And then the other friend I went to prom with was Voldemort. Now Voldemort was a rectangle-headed Christian nerd, and I was in love with him. I was so in love with him, guys. And it was perfect because this was the time in my life when like girls compare themselves to other girls. So I like hated all the girls that Voldemort went out with. Like I was like, she wears short skirts, I wear t-shirts, she's here company. Except for like, they were all girls pretty similar to me, so it was like, I wear t-shirts, she also wears t-shirts, I guess we'll go to the mall together. So I just kind of like hang out with him and probably ruin all his relationships. We were best friends, and I was so in love with him. And he didn't like me back. And not that I ever had the courage to ask him explicitly, but he would say like offhanded comments that should have made it clear that he didn't like me. Like he would say things like, oh, I have a crush on this girl in my ROTC band. And she's like so deep and troubled. And you're like happy all the time, so. But then he'd say something like very sexy, like, you look nice in that sweater. And I'd be like lost in the sauce all over again. I was so ready. So we all went to prom together. And the thing is, I think one of the reasons that Voldemort didn't like me was because Voldemort was Christian and I wasn't Christian, so he was pretty sure that I was a Jezebel. And here's the thing, I was horny enough to be a Jezebel, okay? I was a 15-year-old girl and I was blindingly horny, just because there's no outlet if you're a girl that age. There's no outlet. The only person in high school who ever wanted to touch me was this boy named Nathan Bloomfield. I'll use his real name because fuck him. Nathan Bloomfield, who days before my 15th birthday fondled my naked breasts, told me I had, quote, National Geographic titties, and then stole my Razor scooter. Also, sidebar, I don't know what the statute of limitations is for Razor scooter theft, but if any of you guys are in the Long Beach area, and you see what looks like the manager of a Metro PCS store scooting away on a blue Raider scooter, hunt that motherfucker down. He knows what he did. So anyway, so I was saving myself for somebody special, and so prom rolls around, and I'd watched enough teen movies to know that prom is like the magical time when miracles happen, and where the people who you're supposed to be with fall in love with you and everything falls into place. So I was like, this is your year, Sanchez. I was so ready. So here's cue number one that I wasn't in the movie that I thought I was in. Because I pictured myself like Rachel Leigh Cook in She's All That. That's how I viewed myself. I was going to take off my glasses. I didn't wear glasses. I was going to walk down the stairs. We didn't have stairs. And I was going to become beautiful. I put on a little bit of makeup and I had a farmer's tan. But damn it, I was going to be beautiful at prom. And it turned out I was actually Rachel Leigh Cook in the movie All Hat, which is a 2007 Western she did, wherein she gets trampled to death by a horse. So that's what I was working at, but I didn't know it. And there were so many signs I should have known it. So I go up to Voldemort a few weeks before prom, and I go, "You want to go to prom with me?" And he said, "Oh, I wish I could. I'm already going with Hermione." Now, normal people would take this as rejection. But when you're so blinded by lust and hormones and magical thinking, you roll with that, baby. You don't let that stop you. And I said, "Oh, great, we'll all go together." So that's what happened. So I was so excited day of. But here's the thing, what I didn't actually know is this wasn't just like a one-off, he asked her to prom. No, friends. They had been dating for 2 months in secreto. They had been. And you're thinking, okay, these were your 2 best friends. A, why didn't you know? And B, why didn't they tell you? I'll tell you why they didn't tell me, friends. Because a few weeks earlier, I'd written Voldemort. I'd written Voldemort a birthday card. Don't tell him. Don't tell him. I'd written Voldemort a birthday card. And this is the inscription on said birthday card. Dear Voldemort, you are my best friend ever. I hope that we spend the rest of our lives together, and I can't wait for all the adventures to come. Just know that you have a seat at my wedding. ... Unless you're the groom. I fucking wrote that and then had the audacity to put tags after it. Like, oh, Lamborghini Mercy, your chick, she's so thirsty. I was so thirsty. And then in my mind though, I kept thinking like, this is my secret between me and me. No one would ever know. So they knew they had to keep it secret, otherwise I might go Heathers on their asses. So they didn't keep it a secret, so they're dating. So the day of prom, I'm getting ready for prom. I had won a dress that the art club had designed. I won this dress because I was the only person who was willing to let the art club design my prom dress. And the day of prom, 2 girls named Catherine came over to my house and they did my makeup, they did my hair, everything. And I was ready for my moment. While this was happening, Voldemort and Hermione are at Hermione's house, having a fancy pre-prom dinner. Their parents are taking their pictures of Voldemort putting on Hermione's corsage. You know, like a couple. Then, and I'm not certain of this timeline, but all I know is that Voldemort and Hermione showed up to my house separately with their parents. There was a corsage in the box for Hermione, so she took it off, took a picture, put it in a box, came to my house.
Whoa.
These guys and their parents, guys, 2 sets of parents, came to my house, stood in my front yard, and reenacted seeing each other for the first time on prom. Like I was a Make-A-Wish kid marrying my nurse. God damn it. It gets so much worse, it gets so much worse. Hermione said, let's go in together and buy a boutonniere for Voldemort. I said, no way, Jose, this is my chance to shine. That morning, I had scoured the yard sales in my neighborhood, desperately trying to find a Star Wars action figure, because Voldemort loves Star Wars, and that was kind of our thing we shared. For hours, I drove on my bike, desperate to find a Star Wars action figure. I finally found a Yoda. I looked him in his eyes, and he said, Yoda, listen to me. I'm gonna try to fuck Voldemort tonight, and then we're gonna be in love forever. And he goes, Yoda, not, there is no try. And I said, boom! And I popped his head off, and I put it in this boutonniere that I made for him. So after I pinned on this handmade boutonniere to a man who was dating someone else that I didn't know, I pulled Hermione aside and I said, listen, tonight's gonna be like my night with Voldemort, so can you just like leave us alone? God bless my friend Hermione. Hermione is such a fucking good friend. She let me dance with her boyfriend during the only 2 slow stances during prom. Hoes before bros, guys. Hoes before bros. So I eventually wasn't brave enough to make a final move, but I did have one final act of like sticking it in. Actually related to sticking it in. So we all went off to different colleges. And when I went to college, I shortly lost my virginity because when you're in college, when you go to arty college, being a nerdy girl is like a moose call for dick. So I did it, and then I sent Hermione this heartfelt text message, still not knowing that she's been dating this guy for over a year at this point, because they're shady. And I said, losing my virginity was fun, but there is a part of me that's a little sad that it wasn't with Voldemort. And then they told me. So the moral of this story is everybody turned out okay. They ended up dating for like 2.5, 3 years. They broke up. And is a army nurse and has touched a boob since then. Good for him. And I am up here today. I am curvy, I am happy, I've seen Harry Potter's dick on Broadway, and I'm in love with somebody that loves me back, I think. Anyway, thank you.
Go for Molly, everybody! Also help her find that Razor scooter. We'll do it.